What is your full name?
Edward John Canine,
Where are you from?
Shepherd, Michigan.
How old were you in 2009?
2009 was 8 years ago, and I'm 45, so I was 37.
All right. So, what do you recall about your financial life before the Great Recession or 2007?
Before 2007, it was very easy to get loans for anything. You could get a loan for a house, you could get a loan for a car, and credit cards were very easily attainable.
Why were you overly worried about the health of the economy?
Before the recession, I was not overly worried about it. Because I don't have a financial background, I don't think I was aware of the things that were going on until later when I read it in the newspaper.
Had you experienced economic hardships prior to 2007?
Yeah, I was a college student, so I remember scraping together meals and eating a lot at Taco Bell. So to me, that was, at the time, it doesn't seem like it, but when your bank account is small, those are big things when you're that young.
Okay, so when it happened, how did you discover that our nation was facing a severe economic situation?
I literally had friends that were in a situation where they lost their homes. I had neighbors that lost their homes. We had people that I directly knew that were what I felt as smart as I was, and got caught up in what was supposed to be a safe deal that turned out to be a horrible deal.
What were your first feelings or emotions after learning this?
Honestly, I think my first feelings were that the banks did not do enough background checks to secure loans because they were wanting to send out money and get interest back. They were giving it to anybody and didn't have any ramifications of those people. I think they set people up to fail.
Did you have any financial hardships during the situation?
We were fortunate because we did have a fixed mortgage, and the mortgage was reasonable where, my wife works at a university and her job was stable. And I was working in a field where the recession didn't happen because I sell a high item luxury good. So it didn't directly hit us, but it did make our home impossible to sell. Our home was essentially underwater, so when we got married, the idea was that we were going to buy a bigger home and get something for our home, but literally our home value probably dropped by 30%.
Did anything happen to your extended family, friends, neighbors? Did it affect you?
Yeah, so we had friends that literally moved out of the community. I had friends that downsized their homes. I had friends that moved away from Michigan because of the job market. So yeah, it was a direct effect of that.
What did you think of President George W. Bush and the Congress reaction to the Great Recession?
So two things. One, they tended to bail the banks out. So if a bank made a bad investment, the government did what it had to do, I think at the time, but I didn't like the way they did that. I think if you make a bad decision, you should bear the consequences, and you should have filed for bankruptcy and went through it like everybody else, but the government managed to bail out a lot of these mortgage companies, and it ended up being a good thing because it made the market come back, I think, to some extent. I don't know if they were the direct cause, but I know that letting Fannie Mae and some of those companies fail, I don't think was a good option, but I don't know if that was the best option.
What do you think of Barack Obama's and Congress' reaction?
When he came into office, I think it was more, I don't think he did anything necessarily different, or I'm not educated enough to speak to what he did different. I think the idea was to make it more affordable for people to buy homes and to regulate how they approve people for mortgages. So the subprime mortgages, I think with the government regulations went away, which was a good thing. And I think his office had something to do with that, but and no offense to President Obama, but I think any president that would have come along in that situation would have taken the same steps.
What do you believe is our nation's greatest economic concern today?
You know, I really don't know. I think everybody talks about our debt and what we owe to other people, but for an everyday individual, that doesn't affect me. What does affect me is how much I pay in taxes, how much my property tax goes up because I own a home. I want my children to be able to buy a home someday. I want them to be able to get a good job. So I think I look at the small term of job growth and the economy moving forward versus our deficit, but a lot of people talk about the company as a whole, their deficit, and what they owe in trades.
All right, last question. What would you want students, like kids my age, to know about economic crisis?
I would want them to understand their own individual finances. I would want them to build a budget and have to buy groceries for a week, pay rent for a month, do all the things that they rely on their parents to do. I think almost like a home monopoly game that would educate them on how to grow savings and how, if they do grow savings, they don't have to rely on big banks or credit to do the things they want, like travel and go to good schools and things like that. There has to be, you have to be financially responsible, and I hope my children and I hope the kids of today understand that they have to be financially responsible for their decisions.
Thank you so much.